Hello dear friends and subscribers of Cricket Happenings. First and foremost, dear friends and subscribers of Cricket Happenings, I do apologize that I was not able to upload the video today. It was not something of my problem, it was basically a YouTube problem. I couldn't upload the video. Actually in the morning, before going to office, I had actually done my usual routine that you know, and I had in fact compiled a very nice report about Afghanistan making history in the World Cup yesterday on their maiden entry into the World Cup 2015. Afghanistan registered their maiden victory, especially, and that was something a very refreshing thing to watch, because Afghanistan have promised so much and finally they delivered. And what a proud moment for all the Afghan supporters who were there at the ground, the country Afghanistan. And I always believed that Afghanistan, I love this Afghanistan team, despite the problems that they have in their homeland, they have come up trumps. And yesterday they were absolutely down and out with the score reading. The score was reading 97 for 7 at one stage when Gulbuddin Naib was out, and that was in the 24th over, and they were chasing a score of 211 runs to win the match. And what a performance from Samiullah Shenwari, who played a key role. In fact, what a proud moment for him. Afghanistan registering their maiden victory in World Cup 2015, their maiden entry into the World Cup, their maiden victory in the World Cup. And the victory was much sweeter with Samiullah Shenwari stroking a beautiful 96 of 140 of 100 and I think it was 147, dealt with 7 fours and 5 sixes, took the man of the match award. And this was a total team effort. The bowlers initially, the pace bowlers did a wonderful job, and then Afghanistan won this close encounter. In fact, the tailenders were the ones. It showed that Afghanistan had some real determination, because when you saw the tailenders, Hamid Hassan and Sapur Zadrans at the crease, probably Scotland would have thought that they could actually try to get one wicket, and that was it. But both Hamid Hassan and Sapur Zadrans, the two pacers who actually hunt in tandem, who did a fine job with the ball first, also gave a victory to Afghanistan and Sapur Zadrans had the proud privilege of working one of his hips, and finally there was the victory cry was let out by the Afghanistanis, and Afghanistan won a very close encounter, one could say, against Scotland by winning the match by 1 wicket. So congratulations to Afghanistan for doing so. And that is one match. The other match that happened was between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. I was looking forward to it, but let me tell you, it was a real tame affair, as Sri Lanka, batting first, ran up a huge score of 332 for 1 of 50 overs, and I thought after losing 1 wicket, this was the highest score by any team after losing just 1 wicket. And Thirumalai made 52, but it was the partnership of 210 runs, unbeaten runs for the second wicket, where Tilakratne Dilshan scored his 21st ODI century, got his highest score in one-day internationals, registering 161 not out of 146 deliveries with 22 fours. And Kumar Sangakkara, on the other hand, also getting on to his 22nd ODI century in his career, making 105 unbeaten runs of 76 balls with 13 fours and 1 6, and both were not separated. And as I said, it was an unfinished partnership of 210 runs, which took the Sri Lanka to a very huge score of 332 for 1, and finally that proved a match-winning score. And the other thing is that Kumar Sangakkara always has liked the Bangladeshis, because every time he plays against Bangladesh, he scores tons of runs. He has scored the maximum number of centuries in tests against Bangladesh, the maximum number of one-day centuries against Bangladesh, and he relished the Bangladesh attack. And Bangladesh, nobody was really able to actually go and play a big knock, and that was the reason Bangladesh couldn't get any closer to the Sri Lankan total of 332, and they were all out for 240, and thus Sri Lanka winning the match by 92 runs. And Sri Lanka also scored their first points in this tournament, and that would have been something that they would be very happy about. Well, but as I said, today the upload got aborted, the YouTube upload, and that's the reason I'm coming here. So I'm not going to go in much detail, but definitely it won't be like a report, because I know it's stale news, and probably we are going to see in 4 hours time South Africa will be taking on the West Indies. So I don't want to. So basically I'm going to skim through it. So as far as Afghanistan were concerned, they were the ones who actually won the toss, and the captain Mohammad Nabi, looking at the conditions, decided that he would insert Scotland first. And what a right decision that was by Mohammad Nabi, because first and foremost, Callum McLeod was a goner. It was Dawlat Zadran. Let me tell you, Dawlat Zadran has been impressive every time he bowls. If you see him, he doesn't look so powerful, but even with his very, very lit build that he has, I thought he generates a lot of pace. He bowls in the 140, and also he also moves the ball beautifully, and that's what precisely gave him the wicket, as McLeod was caught slashing at point. Najibullah Zadran took the catch. He was gone with the bowling of Dawlat Zadran for a duck. That made it 7 for 1 with Kyle Quirge and Gardiner at the crease. And then Hamid Hassan came in and had Gardiner LBW for 5, which made it 38 for 2. Kyle Quirge, after playing some nice strokes, as he has always done, he likes to play his strokes. He hit 5 boundaries in his knock of 25, but Dawlat Zadran castled him for 25, and that made it 40 for 3 in the 12th over. And then there was a brief, I would say, brief survival done by Matthew Machan and Preston Momsen, the Scottish captain, as both what they did is they tried to slowly repair the damage, but they could take the score only as far as 93 was concerned in the 22nd over. And I thought Matthew Machan attempted a very rash stroke in those circumstances of the bowling of the right arm off spinner Nabi. He was trying a very, very aggressive cut shot, but that resulted in Matthew Machan actually losing his stumps to Mohammad Nabi for 31 of 28 deliveries with 4 fours, which made it 93 for 4 in the 22nd over for Scotland. And Preston Momsen, what a delivery. Gulbuddin Naib. Now Gulbuddin Naib was included in this match. He's a military medium pacer, and what one saw from him, he produced I thought, the delivery of the innings, because it was a peach of a delivery. Preston Momsen, the Scotland captain, had to definitely play at it. It was a delivery that you had to must play at it, and while doing so, Preston Momsen he took the edge of the bat, and what a catch Afsar Zazai took. Now Afsar Zazai, the wicket keeper from Afghanistan, was pretty impressive. I mean, the way he took the catch, he dived full length where first slip would have been, and plucked up the catch, and Preston Momsen couldn't believe his eyes. Scott Afsar Zazai bowled Gulbuddin Naib for 23 of 36 balls with 4 fours, which had half the Scotland side back into the pavilion at 95 for 5, and then it was Berrington and Matthew Cross putting on a very little partnership of 37 runs, and that happened, and that was the time the Zadran bowlers were brought on by Mohammad Nabi, and they didn't disappoint. Dawlat Zadran broke this stand by actually picking up the wicket first of Matthew Cross, where Shapur Zadran, the left-arm pace bowler, picking up the wicket of the wicket-keeper Matthew Cross for 15 of 26 balls, 1 4. Once more, Afsar Zazai, the wicket-keeper, coming into the picture and grabbing the catch. So he was gone for 15, and Josh Davey was dismissed as soon as he came after contributing 1 run. Shapur Zadran picked him up, caught by Hamid Hassan for 1, and that made it 134 for 7. And Berrington, who was looking a bit settled at the crease, was also a victim of the bowling of Dawlat Zadran for 25 of 46 deliveries with 2 fours. And suddenly it was Scotland, who were losing wickets at regular intervals, were finding themselves in enormous trouble, one could say, at 144 for 8. And now the question was whether they would survive the 50 overs with the only tailenders there in the front. It was Majid Haq and it was Alistair Evans who were in the middle, and now it looked like probably Afghanistan would wrap it up quickly. But it was Majid Haq and Evans, really I would say, they really took their time, and they also unwielded some strokes, and finally by doing so, these two players saw to it that they would take this particular Scottish innings all the way down to the 50th over, and that was pretty good to see, as both added a record partnership as far as the ninth wicket was concerned, when it was George Davey, no sorry, it was Alistair Evans and Majid Haq, who added some valuable runs, probably 60 odd runs. They took the score from 144 to a score that Scotland could defend of 210, with the contribution from Huck being 31 runs of 51 balls with 3 fours, and Evans contributing 28 of 37 balls with 3 fours, and both the players were out in the final over when Shapur Zadran picked up a 4-wicket bag to add to his tally, and 210 was the final tally. So thanks to that 9th wicket partnership, I thought that Scotland recovered to 210, and that was but let's look at the Afghanistan bowlers, how impressive they were. In fact, they were impressive in the field with their catching, they were impressive in their field with their bowling, and they also did the batting, and that's what enabled them to win. Look at the bowling. The bowling, if you look at the Afghanistani bowling card, it makes absolutely impressive reading. Look at the bowling figures of Shapur Zadran, the tall, strapping and powerful medium pace bowler Shapur Zadran. 10 overs, 1 maiden, 38 runs, and he picked up 4 wickets. Doublet Zadran, picture of economy, keeping the ball, bowling the ball in the right areas, was rewarded duly. 10 overs, 1 maiden, 29 runs and 3 wickets. Hamid Hassan did his bit, chipped in 10 overs, 1 maiden, 1 for 32. Gulbidin Naib got rid of Preston Momsen, the Scottish captain, with a peach of a delivery. 9 overs, no maiden, 1 for 53. Mohammad Nabi, the Afghanistan skipper, doing a wonderful job, bowling 10 overs for 38 runs and 1 wicket. Javed Ahmadi bowled 1 over for 8 runs. As far as Afghanistan were concerned, in their chase, it was I thought Javed Ahmadi was pretty impressive, and what one saw about Javed Ahmadi, in fact they didn't have a good start. They lost Nauroz Mangal pretty early in the piece, as in fact Javed Ahmadi was the one who was doing all the scoring, and what Javed Ahmadi was doing was that he was very powerful on the offside. He was clubbing the ball pretty nicely, and any ball in the half of the anything on and around the off stump was really being belted for boundaries by Javed Ahmadi, because he was hitting it with very good power, and one saw that Javed Ahmadi is a very aggressive player, likes to hit over the top, and he played a lot of shots through the offside. And look at the partnership. There was an opening partnership of 42, out of which Nauroz Mangal had made only 7 runs, and the majority of runs was made by Javed Ahmadi. Was very impressive with his aggressive batsmanship yesterday, and one saw that he's a good talent too. And then finally Evans was the one who gave them a double breakthrough, as first he clean bowled Nauroz Mangal for 7 of 13 deliveries, and the mainstay of the Afghanistan batting, on whom a lot would have been expected, really faltered. And I would really blame Askar Stanikzai, who really, after hitting that boundary, could have really been a bit circumspect and waited. He went for a shot, he tried to poke at a delivery from Evans which was leaving him, and Cross made no mistake behind the wickets to pick it up, and Askar Stanikzai was gone for 4 of 3 balls with 1 4, and suddenly Afghanistan were finding themselves in trouble at 46 for 2 in the 8th over. Javed Ahmadi was still there, and he was stroking the ball freely and in a very fine manner, and he got a very good companion in Samiullah Shenwari, and Samiullah Shenwari, joining Ahmadi, decided that he is also going to play some aggressive strokes, and he started stroking the balls for boundaries, and suddenly this Afghanistan innings was slowly gathering some momentum there. It was gathering more momentum, one could say, and while this was going on, Javed Ahmadi finally, after reaching his 50, was a victim of the bowling of Berrington for 51 of as many balls with 8 fours, a wonderful innings. And after that, it was all Samiullah Shenwari. And suddenly from Afghanistan, once Javed Ahmadi was dismissed, really Afghanistan lost their way. They suddenly started losing wickets in a real clutter there. because Mohammad Nabi, the captain, was LBW bowled Davy for 1. Afsar Zazai, the wicketkeeper, was LBW bowled Berrington for a duck. Najmullah Zadran was caught hug bowled Berrington for 4 of 5 balls with 1 4. And Gulbuddin Naib was sent back to the pavilion by Davy for a knot. And suddenly this Afghanistan innings, which was going on nicely, suddenly found themselves in pretty deep trouble, I would say, because the score read 97 for 7 in the 24th over. And that was the time Sameullah Shenwari was there at the crease, and that was the very good thing for the Afghanistanis, that Sameullah Shenwari was there, because he's a very good player, and he was there, and he was joined in by Dawlat Zadran. And at that time it looked like Scotland would probably win this match, but Dawlat Zadran gave very good company to Sameullah Shenwari. Sameullah Shenwari was the one, the senior person, was always doing the talking to Dawlat Zadran, telling him not to play any rash stroke, and Dawlat Zadran was following it to a T. But when and this partnership from 97 for 7 added 35 runs, and it was important for Dawlat Zadran to stay. But then Dawlat Zadran was a victim, as he played a shot which he should not have played. But and one could have seen the disappointment in Sameullah Shenwari's face. He was absolutely pissed off. With Dawlat Zadran was dismissed. Scott Mommsen bowled Berrington for 9 of 25 balls, and like the Afghanistan score read 132 for 8 in the 35th over. And Sameullah Shenwari was now joined in by the tailenders. Hamid Hassan came into bat, and Hamid Hassan also, Sameullah Shenwari went and spoke to him and tried to calm his nerves. And while he was doing that, Sameullah Shenwari realized that now is the time for him to play the strokes, and he had probably given instructions to Hamid Hassan to just block the deliveries, and that Hamid Hassan was absolutely doing it to a T. And that was the time it was the turn of Sameullah Shenwari to really explode. He started hitting some boundaries and sixes, and when the time came when Majid Haq, the right-arm off-spinner, was bowling, Sameullah Shenwari totally exploded by slamming him for 3 sixes in a single over, and finally attempting another 6 of the bowling of the bowler. Sameullah Shenwari was a goner, as was caught by Davy of the bowling of Haq. And what a shame that Sameullah Shenwari couldn't get to his century. He truly deserved a century. He made 96 of 147 deliveries with 7 fours and 5 sixes. And even after Sameullah Shenwari went, now one thought with the score, but Sameullah Shenwari actually done all the hard work. He has almost given a hope, but the problem for Afghanistan was they had 2 tailenders in the middle, Hamid Hassan and Shapur Zadran, and I'm sure the Afghanistan camp would have been absolutely jittery. But I thought these tailenders, Hamid Hassan and Shapur Zadran, showed that they could also bat, and both what they did is that they kept a very cool and a very calm head, and took Afghanistan to victory, with Hamid Hassan not out on 15 of 39 balls with 1-4, played a good hand, I thought, gave good support to Sameullah Shenwari in that partnership, which yielded valuable runs, because it yielded 60 valuable runs in 10 overs, which was pretty good to see. And Shapur Zadran was the man who had the privilege of hitting the winning run for Afghanistan, and as Afghanistan made history in World Cup 2015 by getting their first win under their belt, their maiden win in World Cups. Shapur Zadran was not out on 12 of 10 balls with 2 fours, 211 for 9. Match over. Afghanistan making history by winning their first ever match, in the sense their maiden victory in World Cup 2015. And once again, congratulations to the Afghanistan team. They picked up 2 points, and I'm sure Afghanistan would be pretty happy. The other day they really gave a scare to Sri Lanka, and now here they have gone on for victory. So one probably thinks that Afghanistan are definitely destined for greater things in the future here. Let's have a look at the Scottish bowling card there. Wardlaw, none for 61. Davy, I thought, bowled economically. 10 overs, 1 maiden, 34 runs, 2 wickets. Evans, 10 overs, 1 maiden, 30 runs and 2 wickets. 10 overs, 1 for 45 for Majid Haq. And Berrington bowled 10 overs for 40. Sameullah Shenwari, by a distance, was named man of the match. So once again, congratulations to Afghanistan on their maiden victory in World Cups. And that too, on their maiden entry into the World Cup, they got a maiden victory, and that is all the more refreshing for them. So now let's leave from here and get on to the match between. This is going to be a real summary, as a lot of time has been spent on the Afghanistan making history here. And we are talking about the 18th match, which was played in Pool A between Bangladesh and Sri Lanka. Sri Lanka were the ones who batted first, as the toss was won by Angelo Matthews, the Sri Lankan captain. No hesitation in batting first in front of a huge ground, and that was the Melbourne cricket ground. And what a scenario it was, with lots of Bangladeshi and Sri Lankan supporters milling around there. And then it all started with Sri Lanka starting off with Thirumani and Dilshan. And Thirumani, I thought, really living dangerously. He was not really, I wouldn't say he was really timing the ball well. He was dropped by Anamul Haq in the slips. He was not really getting going, one could say. And Thirumani, I thought, was really living dangerously. But finally, that was the only wicket that Sri Lanka got in the entire Bangladesh got in the entire Sri Lankan innings, as Thirumani was out for 52 of 78 balls with 3 fours, as this partnership between Dilshan and Thirumani added 122 runs for the first wicket. But after that, and once Thirumani was gone, the going became extremely difficult for Sri Lanka. Initially, yes, Dilshan and Sangakkara were bottled up a bit by the Bangladeshi bowlers, but it was a very, very brief, probably for a brief spell, I would say. But after that, it was completely, everything went Sri Lanka's way, as Sri Lanka ran up a huge total, and the Bangladeshi bowlers could not get any reward whatsoever. The Bangladeshi ground fielding was shabby, the catching was horrible, and the bowling was also not in the right areas, and they really suffered at the under the blade of Kumar Sangakkara, who went on to make his 22nd ODI century of his career, an unbeaten one at that, not out on 105 of just 76 deliveries with 13 fours and 1 6. And Dilshan, on the other hand, going on to make his career best score in one-day internationals of 161 not out of 146 deliveries with 22 beautifully hit boundaries. And look at the partnership from 122 for 1 when Thirumani was out. Sri Lanka ended up at 332 for 1 of 50 overs. This partnership for the second wicket yielded 210 unbeaten runs, and Sri Lanka were really favourites at that stage. Let's have a look at the Bangladeshi bowling card. This does not make any good reading. Mashrafe Murtaza bowled 10 overs, none for 53. Rubel Hossain 9 overs, 1 for 62. Taskin Ahmed was the most costly. His 10 overs, 1 maiden, 82 runs and no wicket. Shakib Al Hasan 10 overs cost him 55. Mahmuda disappeared for 49 of 7. And Sabir Rahman bowled 4 overs, no maiden, none for 26. As far as the Bangladesh reply was concerned, the Bangladesh reply started off in a very horrible manner, as with nothing on the board for Bangladesh. Lasith Malinga came into some real good form in this particular match, as he rattled the timber of Tamim Iqbal, who was bowled by Malinga for naught, which made it 0 for 1. And then Soumya Sarkar came in and decided to really punish the bowlers. In fact, he came in and started slamming boundaries. In fact, he actually hit Suranga Lakmal for 3 consecutive boundaries, and in all he hit 5 boundaries in a very attacking knock of 25 of 15 balls. But that attacking knock was short-lived, as Angelo Matthews picked him up for 25. And then and after that, Mominul Haq was dismissed pretty cheaply for 1. And then Anamul Haq was also, who was really struggling with his timing. He was not batting well, and he was really struggling. Finally was out of his misery, run out for 29 of 43 balls, 1 4 and 1 6. And then finally it required somebody to go and have a big knock, somebody to play a long innings, play a big innings, but that was not forthcoming, as Mahmudullah was dismissed for 28 of 46 balls with 3 fours. Shakib Al Hasan contributed 46 of 59 balls with 4 fours and 1 6. Mushfiqur Rahim making 36 of 39 balls with 2 fours and 1 6. And then Sabir Rahman, the all-rounder, came in, and he was the one who was keeping the hopes alive for Bangladesh by trying to, but nothing of a challenge, but definitely he did himself a very good favor by getting his maiden 50 in one-day internationals, as he looked impressive in a knock of 53 of 62 deliveries with 7 fours, and the tail could not really give him much company, as Murtaza was out for 7 of 7 balls, Rubel Hossain not out, not Taskin Ahmed was LBW ball, Malinga for naught, and finally the Bangladeshi innings folded for 240 runs, and thus Sri Lanka winning by 92 runs. So, and another thing, as far as the bowling was concerned, very briefly, Lasit Malinga finally coming into some good form here, bowling impressively, 9 overs no maiden, 3 for 35. Lakmal 8 overs 2 for 49. Matthews 1 for 36 of 5.4. Herat none for 43 of 10. 6.2 overs no maiden, 1 for 33 for Pereira, also bowled superbly I thought. And Dilshan 8 overs no maiden, 2 for 35. Tilagatne Dilshan for his 161 not out was named man of the match, and thus ended. And as I said, we are probably 3 hours away from the match being match starting between West Indies and South Africa. Till such time, I come back tomorrow in the morning to give you a cricket report on that particular match. It's your host Ram saying good night.